We live in a world that is full of disasters and tragedies, but we like to still believe there's hope, that we're here for a specific reason. And we like to believe that there are miracles every day. And Albert Einstein said there are only two ways to live our life. One is though nothing is a miracle, and the other is though everything is a miracle. And now we have to be the ones that believe in miracles against all odds. That's the only power we have, and I believe it's the most powerful one at this time. So if you guys happen to give up on any hope or miracles, we would like to ask to believe at this time. The first song is by Diane Birch, and it's called Nothing But a Miracle. That was Nothing But a Miracle by Diane Birch. You guys are now tuned into What's Poppin' with Brian Ju on TBS efm 101.3 in Seoul and its surrounding areas, GFN 98.7 in Gwangju and 93.7 in Yeosu. Now, a few ways to get in contact with us, and very importantly, we ask that you guys actually send words of encouragement and hope this week so we can read it out on our live shows. Send it to efmpoppin@gmail.com. Also, if you have any questions or just want to leave us any other positive messages. Also, if you're curious about our playlist, come check out our playlist on our website at tbsefm.soul.kr/efm/what's poppin'. Also, if you haven't yet, please follow us on Twitter and send us tweets at TBS What's Poppin'. But for now, a word from our sponsors. Alrighty, y'all. Now it's time for today's pick. And today we would like to talk about expressing condolences. Now, expressing condolences is never easy because no words will change what happened. And it seems that people who lost their families and loved ones, nothing would make them feel better. But it is still very important to express that we're here for them. And I'm guessing there are many students and young people expressing their condolences for the very first time. So we would like to help you guys out on what to say and what not to say. Now, the first thing is, I'm sorry for your loss. Now, while this phrase can be a little cliche, and also a simple way of communicating your empathy. Also, you're in my thoughts. I'm thinking of you. Letting the person know that you're aware of the emotional difficulty of the situation. This is always a great thing to say. Also, this must be so hard for you. And many people who experience loss feel alone and isolated in their feelings. And by acknowledging the emotional difficulty of the situation, you can help make them feel less alone. And here's what not to say. A lot of people need to remember this because I know a lot of people who make mistakes and say things that are very, you just don't think about what you say and you just let it out, you blurt it out, and then actually in the long run, it can actually hurt people. So I'm warning you, do not say these ones. I know how you're feeling. While this may seem like an empathetic statement, I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel that it has an opposite effect. Now, everyone experiences loss and grief differently, and you should encourage them to, have his or her own unique experience of the loss. Now, a better way to express your empathy might be, if you want to talk about it, how you're feeling right now, know that I'm always here for you. That would be a better way to express yourself instead of saying, I know how you're feeling. Also, now you can start moving on with your life. That's like the worst thing to say to somebody, especially after painful illness, death, all these things. You might think that it might relieve the situation, but, let a grieving person have his or her space. Everyone grieves in different ways, and saying that, oh, you can move on now is not a wise thing to say to somebody who is grieving. Also, this is one thing you should not say. Don't worry. You'll feel better soon. Obviously, in the long run, we're going to feel better. We need time. But, if you want to help them out, and don't say stuff like look towards the future right away. It's important to give a grieving person the time and space to experience his or her feelings during that time. So don't pressure him or her to get over it so quickly. Certain people might take a week, a month, maybe a few months, a year. But let a person take care of the grieving on their own. Don't try to rush into it and be like, you know what, you're going to get over it pretty soon. You'll feel better soon. That is not a wise thing to say. And sometimes being there might just be the best thing to do. For a person who feels alone, or if you're assuming they feel alone, don't try to say the wrong words, but just stand by them. And I'm pretty sure that'll make them feel so much better. Next song is actually dedicated to the smart people who actually are very supportive during times of people who are grieving, and it's dedicated to you guys by an artist named Nat King Cole with Unforgettable. That was the amazing Nat King Cole with Unforgettable. Now, Nat King Cole became the first African-American performer to host a variety TV series back in 1956. And he's best known for his soft baritone voice and for singles like the Christmas song, Mona Lisa, and Nature Boy. Now, he is known for his smooth and well-articulated vocal style. Nat King Cole actually started out as a piano man. Now, at the age of 15, he dropped out of school to become a jazz pianist full-time. Then Cole joined a band with his brother Eddie. Now, this is where he adopted his stage name, Nat Cole, and his real name is Nathaniel Adams Cole. Now, by the 1950s, Nat King Cole emerged as a popular solo performer, and in the studio, Cole got to work with some of the country's top talents at the time, including Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald. Now, he also met and befriended Frank Sinatra, and after his death, his his version of the Christmas song has become a holiday classic, and many of the other signature songs are frequently selected for film and television soundtracks as well. Now, his daughter, Natalie Cole, has also carried on family profession, becoming a successful singer in her own right. I'm pretty sure the next artists also love Nat King Cole as well, and his songs are usually consisting, some sweet piano melodies that remind us of Nat King Cole's style. We also talked about this artist as well, Mr. Jeff Burnett, in our Thursday segment called Check the Rhyme, and he's a young artist born in 1989, and he's of Filipino-American descent, and he's a singer from Nevada. So with no further ado, the talented Jeff Burnett with Doesn't Matter. That was Doesn't Matter by Jeff Burnett. Now, for those of you who don't know much about Jeff Burnett, he was actually recently in Korea, had 3 concerts in Korea, and he performed at Seoul's Jazz Festival last year, but unfortunately he won't be joining us this year for the festival. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would like to see this next artist at a music festival here in Korea. And the next artist we're talking about is Corinne Bailey Rae. Now, her debut single, Like a Star, was released in April of 2005. And in February 2006, she released a single, Put Your Records On, and her debut self-titled album, both of which received great critical and commercial success. The follow-up, Trouble Sleeping, was at top 40. It was a top 40 hit. And she married a saxophone player, Jason Ray, back in 2001. And at the age of 22, Jason had recorded on albums with Amy Winehouse, but unfortunately, back in 2008, he passed away. And this is why Corinne Bailey took 4 years to release her second album since her first album, because she was very distraught and in a very dark place at the time. And the next song we're going to play for you guys is from her second album, from the C album, and the song is called Closer. Welcome back to the second half of What's Poppin'. This is your host, Brian Ju, and shortly we'll have our Tuesday segment, go-to guy, Mr. Joe Park, come into the studio to talk about sampling and going back to the roots of some tracks that we didn't know were actually sampled. So stay tuned for that on our Tuesday segment called Chop, Loop, and Reverse It. But for now, word from our sponsors. Welcome back to the second half of What's Poppin'. Right now we have our Tuesday go-to man, Mr. Joe Park, in the studio. How you doing, Joe?
Doing very good. Thank you very much.
Good. Unfortunately, you probably saw the news, and a lot of people are still mourning right now because of last week's tragedy. And I actually saw Joe last Friday at the Good Friday service at church. And it was just good to see, Joe there and us all being supportive. And even though Good Friday is for a different situation, of course, we're all there to serve and pray. We're all praying, actually, for the people involved with the accident. So we just hope that right now people, the families of the victims, actually can feel our love and our, just hope that we're hoping for a miracle, to be honest. And we can't imagine exactly what they're going through. It's got to be a tragedy and a heartbreaking situation right now. But unfortunately, with that even happening, we still have to go on with our show. And today, Joe brought some songs, sampling songs, of course. And he's going to actually explain exactly where these songs came from and the originators, of course. And the first artist that Joe brought with him is?
Her name is Deborah Cox.
Okay, Deborah Cox.
And the song is called Things Just Ain't the Same.
Okay.
And this song was an OST for the movie Money Talks and was released in 1997. So this song is not on any one of her albums, but it came out specifically on the soundtrack album.
Okay.
And this album hit number 6 on the US R&B chart and was certified gold.
Oh.
And for all y'all people that don't know, and Deborah Cox is also Canadian. She grew up in Toronto.
Okay.
And she first started out in her career by being a backup vocalist for Celine Dion for 6 months. And then in the 1990s, and she had some trouble getting signed and getting some deals in Canada, so she flew down to LA, and then she got signed with Clive Davis in 1995, and then released her debut album called Deborah Cox.
Okay, self-titled.
Mm-hmm. And also, her major hit was in 1998 with the song Nobody's Supposed to Be Here, which was #1 on the Billboard charts for 14 weeks, which was a record held for nearly 8 years.
Wow.
To have a #1 song on 14 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's achieved 12 #1 hits on the Billboard's Hot Dance Club Play chart, and she's often cited as Canada's top R&B artist. I mean, there aren't too many from Canada at the moment, but we've got like Drake and maybe like Justin Bieber, you know, some notable people, and also she's released 5 albums so far in her career, and she's won multiple Soul Train and Juno Awards, which is like the Canadian version of like a Grammy Award. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she currently lives in Miami, just living her life. I'm not sure if she's releasing anything soon, but yeah.
Cool. Now, of course, a lot of listeners are probably wondering Deborah Cox's song. She's more of an R&B ballad singer, more slow jams. So you're probably wondering, oh, she actually used a song to sample. And actually, we're going to play the sample for you guys right now. Alright, that sample is actually by the Stylistics, and the song's called You're Everything.
Yep.
Now, when did this song come out?
The song came out in 1971 on the debut album.
Okay.
And the song reached #9 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart and sold over 1 million copies worldwide, and is certified gold. And yeah, this sample is very well known for its guitar line, and many famous artists have covered the song, including Diana Ross and Marvin Gaye. And they also released the song as a single, and it reached #5 in the UK, but they never released it in the US.
Okay.
And artists such as 90 Degrees, Jennifer Lopez, Craig David, David Sanborn, Usher, and even the Korean group Lee Sang, they've also sampled this and have become, quite big. All the songs have been quite big, and for all who don't know, the Stylistics are a soul vocal group.
Okay.
And they formed in 1968, and they're one of the best-known soul groups in Philadelphia.
Alrighty.
Yes, and so also last week, I also brought something that was sampled by the Stylistics too. So I thought, these guys are just great, and all their hits were ballads, and like I said last week, with amazing falsettos from Russell Tompkins Jr. And, yeah, these guys were
cool. I'm pretty sure a lot of people tuning in right now who heard the sample are probably thinking, I've heard this song before. And that's how popular this song was, because a lot of artists actually used this sample for their own songs. So no further ado, we're going to play this song right now by an artist, Canadian artist, Deborah Cox, who used a sample in her song called Things Just Ain't the Same. That was Things Just Ain't the Same by Canada's own Deborah Cox. And right now we're back in the studio, and today we are doing Chop, Loop, and Reverse It with Mr. Joe Park. And I saw the cue sheet, the next artist, and this artist is very talented.
Yes.
And I look up to this artist too because his vocals are amazing, and we're talking about
Maxwell with the song Welcome.
Yes. Now, when did this song come out?
This song came out in 1996 off his debut album, Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite.
Okay.
And this album has a very mellow and groovy sound with, some funk and smooth soul elements in the music. And the songs on the album focus on like adult romance and some of Maxwell's own personal experiences as well. So just a lot of love music.
Okay.
And, the album wasn't released for a whole year due to label issues, record executives having doubts. Because back in this time when he was about to release it, it wasn't really mainstream. It was more kind of like, it was different R&B, People sometimes, people don't really understand it if they don't know like where R&B comes from. And so the executives were, doubting him, and
Because the executives and the record labels, all they want to do is see the cha-ching.
Exactly.
Yes, and it's all about money and business in the music industry nowadays as well. So that's why it's harder for artists to come up in the business, because as an artist, you want to express your music style and element, and while your companies are thinking, will this sell? Yeah. Will this make us any money? And that's, I guess, the reason why it took a whole year for him to release this. Okay.
And so, despite, an initial lack of interest after his release, it sold 1 million copies within a year.
Holy.
And, it did pretty good, better than the executives thought. And, this album elevated his reputation to that of a sex symbol and a serious R&B singer.
Okay.
That was different at the time. And Maxwell has also been credited to being similar to, D'Angelo and Erykah Badu with helping the neo-soul movement. So their music is kind of in that kind of genre. And, critics say that Maxwell also helped provide, commercial visibility, like people, to inform people or let people know what neo-soul is.
Yeah.
And, this album is still one of Maxwell's, I think, greatest albums, and sold over 2 million copies now.
Okay.
And Maxwell's received 12 Grammy nominations, and he won 2 Grammys. Whew, I don't know what that feels like.
I wish I had a Grammy. Yeah.
I do too. It's everyone's dream, huh?
Dream a little dream.
Yeah.
Alrighty. But Maxwell, of course, did not come up with an original track. Well, it's an original track, but he used another track to get the idea to make this track. And the artist or group that he used was called Black Heat, and the song was called Zumbaku. Zumbaku.
Yes.
So we'll take a listen to that sample right now. That was Black Heat with Zumbaku. And this song was actually released when?
This was released off their final album, Keep On Running, in 1975.
Oh, a while back. Okay.
Yes. And this song was released by the legendary Joel Dorn and Jimmy Douglas. And, Joel Dorn, he's famous for making the song Killing Me Softly.
That's a great song.
Yeah,
okay.
So these are very big songwriters. And this album peaked at number 51 on the Billboard Top Soul Albums. And Zumbaku has also been sampled by multiple hip-hop artists like Biz Markie, Cool G Rap. And Black Heat was like a funk band that was also founded in 1970s. There's a lot of funk back in the day. And the group only had one hit, though, which is unfortunate. And it was called No Time to Burn, which reached number 46 on the U.S. Billboard Black Singles Charts. And they released 3 albums so far during the whole career.
Oh. I never actually heard of them. What was it? Black Heat?
Yes.
Alrighty. All right, well, today we are talking about sampling music, and the sample that Joe brought with him for the second half, or second artist, was Maxwell. Now, Maxwell, how well did he do with the song that he used the Zumbaku song for?
I mean, the album did pretty well. The album did pretty well. The song itself didn't, go number 1 or anything.
Oh, so it was an actual single from the album. It was just on the album.
Yes. Not a single. But like the album, it sold over, 1 million copies, and, did quite well, actually.
Okay.
Pretty chill.
Well, I mean, I agree that it has to do well, because if you guys aren't familiar with neo-soul, a lot of the sounds that Maxwell has, it's got that very, what do you call it, just soothing sound of R&B, of course, and a little bit of soul. So I guess neo-soul, I don't know how to define actual what neo-soul is. It's just one of those things you listen to and you're like, that's what neo-soul is. So we're going to set that song up for you right now. This is Maxwell with Welcome. That was Welcome by Maxwell. And right now, unfortunately, it is time to wrap things up. We want to thank Joe Park for giving us some great sampling music.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Alrighty. And unfortunately, of course, this week, We've been trying to get back on track with our show, but of course, you know, for those of you listeners overseas, what recently happened last Wednesday here in Korea, and it's a tragedy that this happened. And, you know, like we said in the beginning of our show, disasters and these unexpected, unknown, harmful things happen in the world, and all that we can do is hope. We can't live in a world of fear, but we have to live in a world of hope and be encouraging towards each other. And I'm asking that, every listener out there right now will say a little prayer. I mean, this whole week, during this whole week, we're going to have a lot of funerals going on for the families, and I'm pretty sure the victims will appreciate it. They're in a better place right now, but I just hope that you guys can come together, a world as one, and express your love. And if you're going through any other problems in the world right now, for our listeners, we're here for you as well. So if you have any messages or any words of encouragement, we actually emphasize and we want you guys to send us emails, tweets, any kind of message through Kakao or text to show us that you're supportive and you're loving and your loving heart towards everybody here in South Korea who are mourning right now. And Joe, I hope you do the same thing and just continue to pray. Definitely. As we will be doing the same thing here at What's Poppin'. But right now it's time to wrap things up. And the song that we have for you guys for the ending song for our program is by an artist named Emily Sande. And the song is called My Kind of Love. And hopefully this song will actually uplift you guys and spread love throughout the world. Once again, this is Brian Ju and
Joe Park
signing off. Peace.